beauty contest winner, but the de Havilland Caribou, an aircraft that was very heavily engaged in the Vietnam War. And while she's perhaps not the prettiest of aircraft that you will see, there's many a soldier in Vietnam who would be grateful to see that sight coming over the area where he was perhaps surrounded by Viet Cong or small special forces fields way out there where they could be surrounded by the enemy and the only succor they had would come by the Caribou.
Quick walk around of the airplane. You know, we normally start at one spot. We let the ramp down. We kind of come along here. We make sure, normally this door is open and we have a ladder we can get in and out of. So we make sure these bolts are on because this is the door we pull when we do paratroopers sometimes. Aside from that, we've got a lot of just general condition. As you can tell, the airplane's very tall. We have some blowout discs for the fire suppression system. Just looking at panels, all of these things. Up in the wheel well, we have gear pins that hold the gear down as we come back around to the front. This airplane has a lot of pitot tubes, and so what these were used for is the airplane actually has an auto feather system that measures the thrust coming off of the propeller. And so if at any point with that auto feather system armed, it notices one engine making less thrust than the other without moving the throttles, it will automatically feather that engine. Very quick reacting. So a big deal on the Caribou too are these latches. The way the cowlings open up, they open up like a clamshell. And if they were to come open and fly it would create so much drag it'd be impossible to recover from. So we always make sure these are nice and secure. This disc is where you would blow through to put a fire extinguisher, handheld fire extinguisher. These engines are unique in that the propeller system has what we call IOCs. So the propeller, as opposed to getting oil from the engine oil system, it has its own supply and has its own governor. And so that's this unit right here. It's actually its own oil reservoir for the propeller. So if the engine loses every ounce of oil in the entire engine, we still have full control over the propeller. The propeller is also full reversing. That was another thing that they did to help enhance the STOL capabilities of the airplane. And so just continuing around, we have, these are the actual pitot tubes that we use to get airspeed indication. All right, to the airplane. Another fire extinguisher, blowout discs here. The nose wheel is pretty standard. We actually have nose wheel steering in this airplane with a tiller, so as opposed to it just being a free castering, so it's very easy to taxi on the ground. And then as you come around the other side of the airplane, it's pretty much the same thing. There's a cockpit heater, which isn't used anymore. That was something, you know, when they built the airplane in Canada, it was very cold. We don't have that problem here, nor did they in Vietnam. When they operated them back in Vietnam, there was so much more auxiliary equipment on the airplane. There were heaters, cabin heaters that actually burned fuel. There were a lot more systems on the airplane that could have been more prone. Nowadays, the airplane is relatively stripped of all of its auxiliary equipment. We just have the basics to, you know, do air shows and be able to display it. So we don't have the flaps down right now. But the flaps down, we have 40 degrees of flaps all the way from the root all the way out to the wingtip. The ailerons droop down. And what that does is it creates such a nose-low attitude when you come into land that an easy thing to do is to touch down on the nose wheel first, because it takes so much flare to bring the nose all the way up and set the mains down first that it's easy to strike the nose, and that could cause damage to it. It's not meant to take that kind of brunt. Now, one thing to point out, and you'll see all around the airplane, are these little American flags. These little American flags are here to symbolize battle damage. So this is actually patch from shrapnel, a bullet hole, anything. And you'll see as you walk around the airplane, this airplane is absolutely littered with these patches from battle damage. And so we've tried to tag some of the areas with little American flags. You can see in the engine cowling. Really, they're just everywhere. I don't know exactly how many there are. There's probably 40 or 50.
Well, welcome aboard the Caribou today. We basically do a walk around on the outside of the airplane, and it's just a common walk around that you do with airplanes, check the fluid levels, check the oil levels, the hydraulic fluid, that sort of thing. Safety, we remove the gear pins, we remove control locks off of the airplane, and then we come into the airplane. We've got a cockpit here that is kind of it's old. It's 1950s technology. It's not as streamlined as some of the modern jets. I fly a modern jet in my everyday job, and with this airplane here, you know, radial engines, they have peculiar characteristics to them. They're noisy, they vibrate. The airplane is not a handful to fly, but it does require a peculiar skill set. Well, I wanted to show you how to get into the Caribou here. First off, you have a couple of steps where you have to step up, and it's very awkward. You could fall over. There's a step here, and as you can see, there's up here, there's the throttle quadrant. We've got the propeller controls and the mixtures, the cutoffs over there. As you can probably imagine, from a human factor standpoint, crawling up into the airplane, it's awkward, and you will get your head dented. I mean, I have got many scratches on my head from getting up in here. But the way to get up into the Caribou is to grab the seat firmly, and what you do is you put your arm up here like this, and you grab this handle, and you just step up and you grab that handle like this, and see, you're protecting yourself, and you just slide over into the seat. And it's just like any other airplane. When you sit into the seat, it has you know, nice comfortable seat, a wheel, the rudder pedals. It's very nice, and it's a very comfortable airplane when you're sitting up here and you're on cross-country flights, that sort of thing. You only look at them one at a time, and you only flip one switch at a time. So anyway, we've got a battery master switch here. When we turn it on, of course, you know, all the gauges come alive that work on DC power. That's under DC power. We also have an inverter here that will make the instruments work on AC power, and I'll just turn it on shortly. And as you can hear the inverters winding up, and we're supposed to have gauges here that we read when there's AC power to them. So go ahead and turn it off. We don't want to run the battery down. One of the things that we do when we first get in here, we want to make sure that the pitot heat is turned off, that the landing gear handle is in the down position. This is the magnetos, of course. Back here is the carburetor ram. That's for carburetor heat, and then, of course, you have your magnetos here, and you want to make sure that they're always off. Most of these airplanes, when they're on like this, you just reach up and go forward, and they're in the off position or the ground position to ground off the engines. This is a control lock right here in the front. It's up here by the throttles. So from a safety standpoint, we have certain checks that we do. It has a fire detection system inside there. And Ben, jump in here anytime if you want to add something on there.
Yeah, the airplane's actually designed very safely. There's a lot of redundant systems. Primarily, we do have two shots, two fire extinguisher bottles that we can send to either engine. And so those are these T-handles here. So in the event of an engine fire or something that's caused the engine area to heat up, these will light up. We'll be able to pull them and blow an extinguisher. They also have full feathering propellers. Something unique to the Caribou is it has an auto feathering system. As I described earlier in the walk-around, we can arm that right here, and what it will do is these two gauges here actually show us thrust. So it's measuring the airspeed behind the propeller in comparison with the airspeed of the aircraft. And so it gives us a percentage of thrust that we're getting. Anyway, all that to say, if it detects a loss of power in either engine, it will feather the offending engine or the failing engine. On top of that, the airplane is a fairly hydraulic airplane, but not without a lot of safety features. Down here, you might notice we have a panel down here that allows us to, in the event of emergency, get the landing gear down, give us brakes, you know, all the things that we're going to need to safely put the airplane down on the ground. You know, we're very blessed to get to operate this airplane in peacetime, and a lot of these guys don't, or a lot of these veterans weren't able to do that. And you know, these bullet holes all throughout the airplane are a reminder, and you know, I'm sure many of them wounded people along the way as they went through the airplane. So that comes across our mind quite often as we're sitting here flying this airplane. We think it's a lot of fun, but there are a lot of guys that might not have described it that way. It was a tool, and luckily this airplane was used as a tool to help people and save people, extract certain people, or deliver equipment. And we're lucky enough to present it today in peacetime operations to honor those veterans who were wounded, weren't able to come home, or are out, and it brings memories back to them.
Okay, safety check, daily inspection, exterior check.
Complete.
Fuel,
Check.
engine oil,
Let's check.
prop oil,
Let's check.
gear pins.
Removed.
Okay. Pitot covers and plugs,
Removed.
chocks,
Removed.
tail stand,
Removed.
doors.
Secured.
Safety check complete. Before start, ready?
Go ahead.
Circuit breakers normal.
They're checked right here.
All right, check normal. Battery master external power on.
Here we go.
Brakes check set.
They're set and checked.
Carburetor air ram.
Ram.
Fuel and oil shutoffs.
Right here. All right. They're done.
Inverter.
Inverter.
Fuel panel check.
This previously checked.
Fire detection.
Fire detection test. Let's check.
Inverter off. Warning lights check.
So prop oil's the main one here. Check.
Anti-collision lights on.
On.
And gyro caged. On this side caged. Boost pumps normal.
Okay, so we'll start the right side first.
Colors, okay.
We'll let Dwayne know.
It's hot.